Crowdselling versus crowdfunding, who gets hurt in all of this? In the final part of this series, I sit down with creator Matt Crotts and have a non-interruptive discussion with him as we talk about the nuances of this topic. And before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Tyler Carpenter, and I am an award-winning cartoonist as well as a comic book writer and artist. My series, The Girl with the Megafist, is an ongoing book that I'm working on, and as always, we'll be drawing a page from it while we talk. Now, originally this video was supposed to be a 15-minute discussion, but when Matt and I started, getting into the weeds, talking, discussing, we hit on so many interesting points that I thought I should share it all. And at the end of this video, I will give my 2 cents on how I feel about the crowdselling versus crowdfunding debate. Here we go. We'll just start shooting this shit, but there's 2 types of crowdfunding customers: crowdselling, crowdfunding, those who buy the book, those who believe that their money is going to something greater. There's this nuance to it, and you were talking about it in on Twitter, I believe, about you even said it for me, you wanted the $15 that you spent on my book to go to something greater.
Yeah, I want to know that I'm making a difference. I want to at least feel that I'm making a difference.
But there's
and crowdselling is designed to not make you feel that way. So it's supposed to reward another valid thing that you want, right? Which is just I guess a particular perception of professionalism, I guess, which is just speedy delivery, super quality binding, and art quality. Everything's just super pristine, and affordable. But
yeah,
that's not crowdfunding. That's just nice.
It seems
books.
It seems that there's this now that this customer base who are they're unhappy with the mainstream. They're wanting to buy books, so they want to buy indie books. Well, where do you go to buy indie books? You go to these crowdfunding sites. But crowdfunding, when it was initial started, was, hey, I was able to afford 5 pages. I made 5 pages. Do you like my proof of concept? And we're gonna make this thing together. And that's kind of why that's why the stretch goal culture happened, where it's hey, we just hit 3,000, now everyone's gonna get rewarded because we're all investors. Whereas now with crowd selling, you don't really do look at the Common America guys, they don't do stretch goals. You're getting your book and you're getting the perk that you bought. For me, I didn't do stretch goals. You're getting the book, and I'm gonna throw in a trading card for funsies, but there was no stretch goals.
I didn't know you didn't do stretch goals. I didn't know Tim and Mark didn't either. That's interesting. That really confirms the crowd selling format for them, and I guess for you too for this.
I just don't like stretch goals because sometimes I mismanage the money. One campaign I did stretch goals and then I stopped. Yeah, I was crap, if I do this, I'm going to lose money. So, but yeah, they'll be if we hit an extra $500, everyone gets a sticker. If we hit another $500, we get a trading card. And for me, I just did those things I printed those things regardless. And threw them in the box. I don't need a stretch goal. And it's I'm not going to add any more pages to my book. I'm not. So but that's the thing is because I'm kind of in this boat. What I'm doing in my business model is crowd selling. My book is 100% complete. You can get it here. You pick the perk. I put it in the box. I ship it out to you, and in a couple weeks you get it, and then we're on to the next book. Whereas crowdfunding is, hey, I'm currently making the book, and I need your money to help me make this book. And both customers have valid problems and they have valid concerns.
Do you think, you mentioned it right at the beginning that crowd selling is kind of new, and that's kind of a response, I guess, to instead of just going to a completely different market with different expectations, now people have this expectation that crowdfunding, which is I guess it's a different platform for producing this content. Now people want that platform aimed at the mainstream and being a response to the mainstream, I guess. Is that so? Now we're gonna ask this alternative grassroots platform to give us what we expected from our local comic shops. I mean, it's been like that for years, obviously. but that comes with challenges, right? Like I call them stress fractures. Like there's just it's not built for this, so it can only accommodate that with I don't know, if you can reliably pull in a certain amount of money and you only want to provide that sort of service. And I guess a lot of people out there are having trouble where they're trying to do everything. They're trying to do the highest quality book. It's hardcover. It's $10, and they're trying to do the high human value, I guess, like the pseudo social relationship value stuff, where they're doing live streams all the time, and you're watching them draw every single page and all that sort of thing. So they're trying to engage you on that side too. That's too much for even people with $300,000 campaigns, apparently, to do all that and put it out on time. And I don't know if everyone is asking for that. Like, I don't know. So
well, and that kind of goes with this, like with this crowd selling versus crowdfunding, is not every customer is asking for either one. Like when Doug TenNapel was doing Bigfoot Bill, everyone was cool with it, with the kind of the crowdfunding culture, because you saw him every day drawing a new page. So you were like invested in him and this book, and he was like, we're going to make this book, this really nice book, together. We're going to do this together. Whereas like for me, when I did the Girl with the Megafist, the book was done. I did this. Like, you guys are just buying the book. Now you guys helped make it. You guys are funding the printing. You guys are funding the shipping because you're paying for it. But each user is different, and I think it really. I think crowdselling is a product of a response to how some creators have mismanaged their time in crowdfunding. I mean, both of us have run crowdfunding campaigns. Yeah. You're the one who sets the expectation of when the book will be delivered. So like for me, I put for the Girl with the Megafist, I put July 2022. But I have the books in my house right now, and we're going to fulfill in 2 weeks. And it's April. So I set myself up for success because I wanted to, overpromise? No, underpromise, overdeliver. Whereas you have these other campaigns who are like, we're going to have the book done in a year, when they know they can't do it in a year. But they promised it was a year, and now you have these angry customers who are like, you promised me something in a year, and I don't have it. Are those complaints warranted, by the way? Like, is a complaint like that warranted in the crowdfunding space?
Well, geez.
Cancel yourself, Matt.
I mean, it's a challenge because, like, I'm hearing stuff. People are talking about sweet spots for delivery in terms of like scheduling your fulfillment from campaign launch to fulfillment. What the sweet spot is, and I don't know. I mean, I really struggle to see how like being late with a book is hitting a sweet spot. Do you know what I mean? No, but I can respect, like, a sirloin steak takes, like, if it takes 4 minutes after I order it to show up at my table, I can understand that metaphorically, feeling like it's too early. But yeah, like it would be nicer to see a long, like, farther out deadlines, and then like hit right on the money. But really, like, I mean, for me, like, what I'm seeing a lot is with the the crowd selling, because a lot of people still use the hot dog analogy, and I guess they're there for like a unit, like just the hot dog and nothing else. And my thing a lot of times is,
what is the hot dog analogy, by the way? What is the hot dog analogy?
Sorry. The hot dog analogy is you're there. Someone is asking for a product, and they don't want you to be trying to sell them or distract them from the products, or sell them something other than what they're asking for. So they want a high quality product, and they want you to be focusing on giving them that. And everyone has this expectation that a hot dog salesman isn't there to do anything other than sell hot dogs. So you have a straightforward business approach where you're like, I'm here to make comics. That's my job to you, is to make you smile with a comic, make you happy. So I'm going to get you that, and I'm not here to yell at you about my politics or something, right? But crowdfunding, I think that's not a good enough metaphor to capture what is so cool about crowdfunding that crowdselling can't give you. Because crowdfunding, to me, and you do this, and you've inspired me, as well as Brian Ball, to do this on the Patreon side. Like, even if you're going to launch this thing 100% completed, you still had an avenue for, it's like you're selling tacos while you're making the hot dog for the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're giving people an experience during the process, but you as a creator are making money while you're making it without doing the crowdfunding part.
Yeah, which are two products. You're giving them the experiential product, the social relationship product with the feedback, the exclusive, like you're watching the sausage get made type stuff. I'm mixing a lot of food metaphors, but you get that, and that's a product that's really valuable. That's a lot more valuable than me just ordering something on Amazon. Like, I want to feel like I'm making a difference, and that's the secondary product. That's the day-to-day, like, I just got an update from Patreon and I get to see, here's one more page for this book that I know he's going to launch in 8 months. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't have to do that on Patreon, but I could just launch a campaign and only have 5 pages done, and then I could be giving you updates that whole time. But then there's that expectation. You're starting to get annoyed that you gave me $25 in 2020 and I still haven't given you a book. So, like, why not just take the Brian Ball and the Tyler Carpenter approach, and now the Matt Crotts approach, where you can do the Patreon thing. So there's no expectation of, like, hey, I gave you money, like, where's my book? You're still going to launch it later, but you're also giving people the option of saying, if you want to invest, if you want to feel like you're making a difference, if you want to see, the page by page, this all come together and give me feedback along the way, there's that option for you as well. So you can do the best of both worlds, Like, I don't think you're just doing crowd selling because of the Patreon aspect. Tim and Mark, probably, because you don't see under the hood ever, Same with Doug Ernst. But I think
the iconic guys, the iconic comics guys are very the crowd selling type. Hey, we have a freaking awesome product. We're gonna put it up on Kickstarter, and if you back the book, they do reinvest a lot of the profits into the next book. I think Tim said it once, like, if the money that you spent on volume 5 is really going to pay for volume 6, in how they've structured their business. But yeah, they do it it's very crowd selling. We have a awesome product. Here's your perks. We'll put it in the box. And I do that on Kickstarter, but you're right, with Patreon, it is kind of that crowdfunding of, hey, if you want the behind the scenes look, here you go. I mean, Nicholas Mueller did that with his latest campaign was called Radiant Rapture, and he did a Patreon poll where you could vote on what the title of the series was going to be.
Oh, wow.
And mine didn't win.
Yeah.
So I didn't back his book, and I stopped being his friend. No. But that's really meaningful to go, I was the one who helped name this book, this series. But there are always going to be two types of customers, I think, in the indie comic space right now. I think we're really seeing the divide of crowdfunding, those who are backing the book because they believe in the project and they believe in the creator, versus customers who, they might do all of that stuff, but they want the product, like, quick. Like, don't take a year or so. Like, I want to know that your book is finished, and then I'm getting the book.
And is that one reason? Well, I know a bit, and your subscribers, I'm sure, know even more than I do about why you started doing Patreon over the last year. But, like, do you think that this model of launching when the book is done, but doing Patreon up to that point, is you trying to accommodate this new this, like, hybrid market where there's two people with conflicting expectations on what they want from
I've never
Indiegogo
thought
and
about it.
Kickstarter.
I've never thought about it like that, honestly. That's a good
Mm.
point. What's funny is most people who back my Patreon actually don't read the book. um,
They care
they
about you
they
so
care.
much. See,
Yeah, they care about.
that's so cool. It's like it's transcended even the book. They're just like, I just want to give money to your soul, Tyler.
No,
Like
yeah, and
that's what I'm here for.
like I asked, what do you guys care about? They're like, we like the exclusive podcast. We want sexy pinup art, and then they said they want how to make comic videos for me, and I was like, those are all things I don't do. And so I'm now, but like I've realized, I'm like, okay, that people aren't really there necessarily for the comic. I mean, some of them do get some of them do read the comic, but the majority of them are there to just support the creator. And I've actually asked a lot of people who have Patreons, and they say, "Oh yeah, when we poll our audience, they say the same thing. The audience is there just to support the creator because they like the work that particular creator does." So in a sense, my Patreon is like a 24/7 crowdfunder. 365 days of the year, and then the Kickstarter is the way for people that they can buy the book within that 30-day window on Kickstarter.
I love that. I think that's I don't think you should feel I don't think any of us should feel like we have to pick one audience to sell to, because these audience, like, increasingly they don't really like each other. And we can't resolve that conflict for them, but I think it's our job to figure out how we can
accommodate both.
Accommodate, because we can't and maybe that means pushing. I don't know, like some people do very well pushing just into one category and kind of using their social media to pump up that, which is funny because that's kind of a product in itself. Like, I follow this creator and I get to see his posts and I get to see him dunking on how he's on time and
Well, that's that in it. That kind of goes. There is this kind of discussion right now of you have creators saying, "Yeah, I'm on time." And the only reason why they're able to brag that they're on time is because there's enough creators who are late that they're able to, like, if there was no creators that were late, bragging that they're on time would be pointless. And so it's almost, I feel like the conversation right now in indie comics is saying that, like, if you want to show how awesome you are, or that you are this, professional, type comic book creator, that these are kind of the new standards that are kind of being placed on all creators. I think there will always be a discussion now where people are going to want to know, how far along are you in the book when you crowdfund? I think how far along are you in the book, and the delivery day. I think those are now really important aspects that might even be in second place in terms of how you market your book. Like, you always want to market the story, but then next it's how far along am I in the book and when are people going to get the book? I think those are now moving up the ranks. I mean, price point, I think people are okay with price point, as give them a good price, or be fair, don't be too greedy. But I think nowadays, at least in the indie comic space, being able to say my book is 80 to 90 to 100% finished, and you're going to get it within 3 to 4 months. I think that makes people go, oh, like, you're a step above this person who I have to wait a whole year and a half to get their book. And that hurts the smaller guy, though. That hurts the smaller guy who has to, like, you and I are artists. That hurts the smaller guy who can't afford to do the book beforehand, who needs this capital from the crowdfunding, who needs the actual crowdfunding aspect to fund that book, to make that book that happen. I mean, that's why Indiegogo says make it happen. That's why it says make it happen, because this thing's not going to happen unless the crowd makes it happen. Whereas Common America was finished months ago. The Girl with the Megafist was finished months ago before the campaigns. We didn't need to make it happen. We just needed you to buy it. But for these smaller creators who are using crowdfunding for what crowdfunding is, they can only make it happen with the crowd.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's And when they say make it happen, they're not saying it to us, are they? The creators.
No.
They're not saying, you better make this comic before you show up
No,
here.
they're telling other people. They're telling other people in the crowd, hey,
Yeah.
there's this cool project. It can only happen if we make it happen together.
And maybe you got to do that on Patreon first, I guess. But
Yeah.
find some way to let people make it happen for you. It's some way, There's more than one way, and maybe it doesn't. But people still want you to show up with a book that seems like it's being professionally managed, and it doesn't look professional when your book is only 5 pages deep to a 100-page graphic novel. So,
in the crowdfunding space, do you think it's the creator's job at this point to kind of figure out, to let the customer know the mission of their book? Like, is this a mission that is the mission of your book saying, hey, is it the creator's job to say, hey, we're crowdfunding or we're crowd selling, to give the expectation to the customer? Is that the creator's job?
yeah, in current year, yes, I think so. At this point, I think these two diverging markets are so vocal and persistent, and have worked out really well-reasoned arguments from both sides, that I think you don't have to do that, but you're going to do yourself a disservice. I think probably at least half of the people who are going to back you now are conversant in those arguments and are thinking on one of those two lines. And I think you need to be rewarding, ideally, both sides of those arguments. You need to be finding ways to accommodate both sides, especially if people are finding your comic from social media and they're not just blind browsing. So.
Gotcha. Final question. What do you think is the better model, crowdfunding or crowd selling?
I think it's crowdfunding. I really do. Even though my model, like historically, I've always thrown up a book when it's mostly done, and my turnaround time is always around 6 months to fulfillment from a book launch. But that's because I understand that I'm a smaller creator and I'm just trying to hedge off the downsides to investing. Because I understand that, like, I'm trying to just focus on the human side of the investment. And I just want to minimize the distractions. When it comes to smaller people like us, I think it behooves us to get the lateness factor clamped down, to get as much of this book done, and then focus on the product needing your $15 or $20 to in order to make this dream become a reality, for this book to become something on your bookshelf. Like, you actually had to take your wallet out of your pocket and invest in me for me to put that book on your shelf 6 months later. Even though I made sure to make sure it was on time and I didn't do all this late book stuff, like it was still a human to human investment. Like I that's just so exciting to me, and I can't imagine turning back from that and saying that the most professional standard in my mind is sterilizing all that messy human factor and just saying, I don't want you to invest in me, I just want you to invest in the book. That feels like that's like web 1.0. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're here for anymore. So
all right, so I have a counter to that real quick. I'd love for us to discuss this. I don't care how long this episode is. The counter I have, though, to this, I hate that I'm always using Common America, but they're a really good example of this, is I don't see when I see people backing books and they're doing it based off of the creator. Like, oh, I'm backing Tyler's book. I'm backing Matt's book. They'll back the book, and I'm not seeing the conversation afterwards of what was the book about? Was the book good? Whereas with Common America, all I see on my freaking Twitter feed is Common America lore, Common America characters, like everyone's talking about Common America, the story, the characters, what's going to happen next. And I think the counter is like you have them selling the story, not the human relationship of creator to customer. Whereas that's what crowdfunding is. It's the human to customer. It's very emotional. It's very emotional. Whereas with Crowdselling, it's not emotional. I mean, you were buying something, but then people are now talking about the story. They're focusing on the story and the product that they got, and now they're sharing the story. They're sharing the story of the book. They're not talking about Tim and Mark. No, they're talking about Common America.
Well, can I counter that with
counter my counter.
How
our books just suck and no one's talking about them.
Are your best memories plot points, or are they relational? Are they emotional moments? Like human-centered emotional moments, or are they plot points in your life?
Like in my life or comics?
In your, well,
because in my life, 100%, no, I have some pretty cool stories, man.
Dang it.
but like it is with humans. I mean, they're with humans and the people I experienced.
That might not be a fair question, because the way I framed it, like, because what I'm trying to get at is, like, you're giving people, like, I think the ultimate impact that your book makes is a memory. And so,
yes.
And there's more to the book than what's between the pages. If you want to really enrich that experience, like, it just seems like you're leaving part of that memorable experience on the table, and it doesn't show up on your bookshelf if you don't have a connection with the author. If that isn't being offered to you, as it doesn't have to be forced in your face, it doesn't have to be 10-hour live streams every day, but if it's not available as an option, it just seems like you just narrowed it. I mean, because I used to think, like, I mean, early on you'd see Tim and Mark stuff being talked about as the ripples and the echoes that they made from after they drew back from doing the whole social, like, the live streaming stuff. So it's like it's I'm backing these guys because of they hate these other people or something. But that did calm down really fast, and then it just became like all these characters. And you're right, it is just about the plot stuff. But I can't imagine them not benefiting more if they went back to, I don't know, some kind of human access. It doesn't have to be live stream, but if they were more, if they did mix in some of the crowdfunding with the crowd selling, I feel like you'd have all this plot excitement plus all this the human.
Well, I wonder if the plot excitement, I wonder if instead of going customer, like the relationship excitement to plot, there went plot to relationship, where Common America 1, I didn't even hear about it. Common America 2, didn't even hear about it. Then Common America 3 is when I jump on, and a lot of people jumped on, and then okay, it's Common America 3, it's exciting, it's big, and then Common America 4, it does 6 figures, and now it's like, now everyone's still talking about Common America, but they are rooting for Tim and Mark. What's the next thing you can do? How much better can you get? And so I wonder if there's like this the formula of, okay, we can go, let's have a relationship and then we'll talk about the book. Instead they went, let's talk about the book and then you guys can build a relationship off of our work.
Yeah, and maybe that's just this golden ticket that they're gonna reveal that they've kind of been anticipating, and we're planning for that. And I think that'd be really awesome to see that expansion, because we both know, like, they're interesting people, but they don't, Mark doesn't just have to talk about horror books to like 8 people on a live stream on a Thursday. Like, he could be talking about Common America, and imagine if 5% of their readership were and they were just talking about plot stuff and just doing Q&A. Like, I don't know, just something simple like that. I just think it can be both. In terms of like the markets, the markets don't like each other, so they're kind of bifurcating. But in terms of us as a creator, I think we can hybridize, and we can offer something that's giving a bit to both and is accommodating both. But I just even though the markets themselves are arguing, so they're asking for competing things from each other, like we as creators can kind of we can meet both of those markets where they're at, I think, somewhat. 100%. I think even somewhat as extreme as what they're doing with Common America, I could see them. It wouldn't diminish the crowd selling success they've had to, I don't know, to do like a Q&A live stream just talking about Common America and maybe just sending it to backers. So maybe it's not like a public thing, you know, maybe it's the sort of stuff that like your patrons are asking for.
Yeah.
So
I think they did like over 3,000 backers. Imagine if they did $1 a month Patreon, and they're just like, hey, every weekend we'll answer your questions, or we'll have a monthly, and it's just $1 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you had all 3,000 of those people.
Mm-hmm. And then these are people. Maybe a lot of these people are maybe they came in. Like you said, maybe there's people that only buy Common America when they go to, like, that's all they know with crowdfunding is this is the gold standard in crowd selling right now. But they just introduced me to the human interest side, which I did not know existed because I'm used to just getting point of sale books. And now I'm investing in a creator as well. And isn't that even more interesting? Like, it didn't diminish the quality of their books at all. Doesn't diminish my expectation and how they satisfy that expectation with getting it on time for a reasonable price. But now I also care about them. You know, I've seen them joke about movies, and now I care about them on that level too. I don't know. And they never have. They'll probably never hear me rant about this, and
Tim will hear it, and he's gonna be like, they're both wrong. But I think you bring up something really interesting, is that there are these two. I mean, we've been talking about this whole time. There are two different kinds of people. There's people who want the product, and there's people who are really invested in what that creator's doing. I followed this. It was 2020, January 2020. There was this guy. He posted on YouTube. He says, "I hate my life. I just hate my life. I hate what I'm doing. It is my goal to become a full-time YouTuber, and by the end of the year, I'm going to have 1 million subscribers." and he's like, "So please hit the subscribe button. Help my dreams come true." So he was at like, I think 1,500. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a cool video. Whatever. 2 months later, he pops up on my feed again. His videos look way different than that first one. He's now at like, 4,000 subscribers. And I'm like, oh wow, he's doing some pretty cool stuff. Good luck. And then a couple months later, he puts up another video and just millions of views. And now he's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And now I'm like, oh, what's this? Okay, the things are happening for this guy. So I hit the subscribe button. I've now watched every video.
What?
And like, I've watched every video. I bought some merch from him. I bought a stupid $30 t-shirt because he's like, this is going to fund my next video, which is going to be huge. And I'm like, I need to help this guy.
Fund the next video.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so
crowdfunding the video.
Yeah, so he crowdfunds the video, and then the next video is like, okay, guys, we just bought $10,000 this, and we're gonna give it away to this, and he has this huge challenge, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I helped fund this, and then by the end of the year, he hit 1 million subscribers, and he's like, it's like, man, I helped that guy, and so there is there's that. Difference. Yeah, so I made a difference. So I see where you're getting at with that human emotion. But the one easy thing though about that was all I had to do was hit the subscribe button. It's free. It's 2 seconds. Whereas a lot of people, a lot of customers, their human experience is what maybe watching these live streams. And they go, the customers is going, I feel like I'm not heard. And then they hear someone like Ethan Van Sciver, who is, saying the same talking points that they feel in their heart. And they go, oh my gosh, finally this guy gets me. And then Ethan goes, I'm going to make a comic and it's called Cyberfrog. And they go, oh my gosh, like like this guy is doing it, and he goes, buy my book, and you go, I gotta support this guy because he's gonna do it, and you buy his book, and then he's not finished with it. It's 2 years late, but you still see him on live streams saying the same sermon, but you haven't gotten your reward yet.
Well, so my view on that, this doesn't get me a lot of friends, but I honestly think like it's like
let's get canceled.
Yeah. We've all been thinking about this for years now. Like what is this deal with live streams? And that live streams are a product. They're monetizable. For some people they're very monetizable. Like it's something that you subscribe to, you get it in your feed. It's just a digital product, and people are creating they're YouTube creators. So it depends, like all that disappointment or Ethan's got a lot of people who they'll make fun of you for asking where the book is.
Yes.
Like they want to demonstrate how much of a non-issue it is that it's late, that they'll make fun of you for asking why is it so late. Like, and that kind of appeal with his subscriber base means that he's giving a product very regularly on time, meeting or exceeding the value of that product so well and so regularly that the book product is a distant
secondary
to the YouTube content, which is a product. And honestly, most of the time with most of these creators, I'm just here for the YouTube product. It's free. The best dramas on YouTube. Why am I paying for the comic book drama when I can get it for free on YouTube? You know what I mean?
No, that's an interesting take, because these live streams, which have tons of drama, which get tons of views, they are in essence a form of storytelling.
Absolutely.
And if storytelling and entertainment, and to those customers, the comic is just secondary. The comic is just part of the story. It's part of the narrative.
Yes.
That's part of the narrative. There, I'm here for the entertainment, the discussions, the drama, the EFAPs. The comic is just the thing that helps maybe even fund all this. And I'll eventually get the comic. That is interesting, because I absolutely hate that. But I understand it. I understand it. Like, I understand it. I hate it. It's not, but I understand it. Like,
that's not why you're here. But a lot of people have come over. They didn't know crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has been here since 2005 or something, and they'd never heard of it until people brought them over, so that to hang out and live streams and hear people talk about comics from that perspective, selling to that kind of audience. As the primary product is the social media, the secondary is the comic book. And but you've known about Kickstarter since before 2017, and so have I. Like, we started in this space, so when we're thinking about books, we're thinking like we're here to sell books, we're here to make books. But there's this new hybrid kind of situation where now creators are it's meta now. The book is just a piece in a constellation of digital content that's kind of flowing around and coming out, spewing out of people's smartphones and stuff. And I mean, it's been that reality for 4 years now, and there's no way it's diminishing.
That's a really interesting point. I wonder,
Tim and Mark avoid that entirely, 100%.
Yes,
they're sick. They got sick of it many years ago, and I don't think, maybe they're still as sick of it as they were back then. So they're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Do you think then that this big debate over crowd selling and crowdfunding then is what is kind of taking people saying, hey, it's actually about the comic, it's not about the live stream? Do you think that this discussion is going to change people's mindsets on, if they're like, oh, I'm just here for the live streams and the entertainment and the kayfabe? Do you think the discussion of the late books will make them go, oh, it's actually about the comics? Or do you think those are going to be two entirely different types of audiences forever?
No, but I mean, I think they've had 4 years to respond to that criticism, and they've said like they made it a meme now to just tell you to cope and seethe more that the book is late and laugh at you. They literally do not care, and they're sick of people telling them that they need to care because they're getting on time content. It's YouTube content. And so I respect, like I said, like mostly I'm just here. I need something on in the background while I'm making my book, and I don't have time to read other people's books while I'm making my book, but I have time to listen to a YouTube channel where people are yelling about comics while I'm making a book.
And you're getting the storytelling that you need out from that form of entertainment.
Yeah. So my solution is tentative, but my solution is instead of yelling about whether or not you care about late books, just speaking like plural you, I think people need to, if they think about the social media side and YouTube being, just one piece of social media, like if they're positively talking about what they are here, like I'm here for the live streams primarily, and if they're talking in those terms like positively rather than saying I don't care that my book is that I invested in 15 books last year and 12 of them are a year late, like that's just kind of say like that's a weird argument to say, you know what I mean? But if they're here to say like I'm here for the on-time content, just a different content, and most of these creators now are creating social media content. They're making the taco. They're giving me a free taco every single day while they're talking about how they're going to give me the best hot dog in 8 months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every day I come back for a new free taco. So I'm going to eat like 100 tacos before you give me the hot dog. That's great. Fine. I'm getting free tacos, and I had to pay $25 for your 48-page floppy, hot dog, but am I really going to complain? Because you gave me all this other free taco stuff.
Interesting.
So it kind of comes out in the wash. If people just talk about it that way, I think like the hostility between the two markets are going to settle down a little bit, and then people can just say, well, I'm here for different things, rather than saying
I think people should
care.
start saying that. If you look at the comment section of Rainbow Brute from Ethan Van Sciver, and that book will get done in like 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think he started it.
No, because he's not finished with Cyberfrog. But one of the comments, which I found fascinating, was the one person goes, "Hey, I want a refund. What the F?" And the person below said, "Hey, chill out. This campaign was used to help Ethan Van Sciver build the all caps business." So to me, I'm the guy who got angry. I backed a product, and I'm never gonna get it. I want my money back. That the other person is, I'm an investor. That $500,000 that he raised on Rainbow Brute, it's not about the book, man. He's starting it helped him buy the warehouse, get all the boxes, get some employees. This is like, we are building something. That's what this book was about. It wasn't about the comic. And so
you helped build his business. Like, it's not just, oh, he built a business. It's you did your part. You made a difference to help him build that business.
Yes.
And that business is going to be giving you more content, which is in this meta space of, it's going to be all kinds of content. Some of it's comic books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and the person, the person's like, I'm sure they're probably thinking, the Rainbow Brute money, I'll get the comic eventually, but now that money went to buying a warehouse where he can store the action figures that he's going to do one day. So I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but
sure.
All customers, the customers who believe that way, they are valid. in believing that.
Mhm.
I do believe though that it is the creator's job though to communicate what the goal, what is this? Are we crowdfunding? Are we trying to build something bigger, or am I just trying to get you your book? And I think that's the creator's job to state that.
Yeah, and to give credit to Ethan at least is he has started a Patreon. I think he's had it for a little while now. He doesn't pump it up too much, but maybe
it's $5 for a trading card.
Yeah.
I'm not jealous.
But maybe like I don't know what else he's got that's like I mean I suppose he's got stuff he mails you, like you said. Like that's all I know about. But maybe if you're seeing maybe if he did something that's more like the Tyler Carpenter model, where books get launched when they're mostly done, but up until that point, if you want to invest in me, by the way, I'm going to give you a free taco every single day. I'm going to give you live stream content. Where else are you going to see stuff like this? Where you're going to hear old pros, tell war stories, like, and joke about stuff on a level that I can't, find anymore in current culture. Like, you can only come here for that. And that's free. If you want to invest in me, if you want to invest in my business, here's Patreon. Here's all the merch that we have. We've got tons of merch. And then also I'm launching comic books, but you can watch me draw them for free on YouTube, and you can watch, I don't know, maybe there's more high res stuff on the Patreon side, and then we launch when it's mostly done, after we built 2 years of hype, while you saw me work on it, but I didn't launch the campaign towards the until the back end of production. Maybe something like that would still make everyone happy, because he's built something that's mostly like the crowdfunding side, where it's like you're making a difference. But he could do everything he's doing now, but then maybe shift. He'd just have to delay the gratification of launching a campaign till a bit farther down the road. But that's still a hybrid model. Even he has a hybrid model because he's got the Patreon. I don't know how much money he's making from it. I'm assuming it's less money than Rainbow the Brute. But,
Yeah. No, yeah, it is definitely.
There's a way. He's even aware of this, That's why he's doing all these everyone's aware. Like, people are angry. They've been angry for a long time. But there's a crescendo, and I'm worried about it. Like, I started in 2019, and I didn't. My first book, I made sure it was on time because I was terrified of this issue. It's only gotten worse. So we got to figure out a way to.
What are you
join in on the memes and just laugh at it? And we can't just pick one market and not the other.
No,
that's stupid. Both sides are going to like your comic book if you can get it into their hands. So why not figure out how to make both of them happy so they'll let you get it into their hands?
Gosh, we've been going for almost an hour, so I'm gonna freaking edit this crap. I might say, hey, get our full discussion on Patreon. But there you go. What is one of your biggest fears currently in the crowdfunding space as a creator that you foresee?
Having a plan that takes longer to fulfill than my potential market base, the customer base is willing to wait. And that so that's why I always launch when I'm mostly done or completely done. But that doesn't keep me immune, because what if I take 2 years before I launch my next book because I'm working on it for 2 years? So you don't see me for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I show back up, maybe you've forgotten about me by then. And
that is the benefit. That's the benefit of having a crowdfund that goes on for 2 years.
Yeah, people are going to remember because you still got their money. That's a good point. And that's me. Oh my gosh. Do you need another hour? That just upset.
Yeah, but that just like hit our point. Like but it's true. Cyberfrog ended like 2 years ago, but see, people are still talking about it because no one has it.
Yep.
So he's still able to get more backers.
Yeah, and don't they say what's the most easily accessible emotion? Like that's just right there, just ready to grab. It's the fastest one is anger.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you have to harness the. I don't know. That's a little too Machiavellian for me. Maybe it's for some creators they could do that, but maybe you need like 10% of your when you're that big. If people are a little angry at you, maybe there's a bit of a wave you can kind of surf on a bit. That's really dangerous, though. That's going to turn you to a lolcow at some point.
At that point, at that point, you don't have the loyalists. And then you have the loyalists come in and say, "Hey, man, like we're doing something bigger. You're either in this or you can be a pussy and like complain about not getting your book." But so your fear. I have the same fear, dude. I mean, I didn't crowdfund a book for an entire year, and I was like,
"Yep."
I wonder if people still remember that I make books. Even though I'm on YouTube, I'm still on Twitter. No one has gone a book for me in a year. Well, do they still remember me?
It was a bit of a wait. I'll tell you that, Tyler. You were a little quiet though, just like in general. Like I guess you were doing more stuff on Patreon. So
but I was quiet. And I mean, I don't think I had most of the people that back chefs didn't come back for the growth of Megafist because I don't think they even knew that I was here. I was back in the game. So that is a fear of do you stay behind the scenes working on your book and then kind of lose the momentum that you might have built from your previous campaign, and then you go off into obscurity because no one's heard from you.
Yeah, and you know what? Normally, in this year, like currently, YouTube fills that gap, and whether it's prepared content or it's live streaming, which is just easier, to just go live. But that sort of hey, like don't forget about me factor, I guess is just comes from the day-to-day social media engagement. Like even Twitter is a product. If you think of like, you're not just using it as therapy, right? Like you're putting stuff on, other people are inviting you to put stuff on their timelines to entertain them, while they're on their poop break at work. And they want to be like more entertained than annoyed by you. Like they want to feel like it's worth it still having that product on my feed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you're contributing something. You're making a difference in their feed. So like even that is kind of like a service, I think. When you're a creator, I think it's helpful to think of even something as simple as Twitter or Instagram being like a service you're providing to other people's feed, so that hopefully something that keeps them not just interested in you, but interested in what you're eventually going to be offering as a product in 6 or 8 months, So
yeah, because
that's how you can fill in the gap between campaigns, I guess, is some kind of the social media side.
Yeah, I mean, looking at social media as a product, you can be the creator who just talks about art, talks about your books, and then you have to hopefully people will draw to that, like will be drawn to that, or you can be the creator who has those hot topics.
Mm-hmm. That's a product.
And then you go, oh man, that guy, like, and you go, oh, I like this person, I like what they're saying, and now, now that's a product. This has been such an interesting conversation, because it's maybe I'll just be lazy and throw the whole hour up. But it's so interesting. There's just so much. You know what? I might just not even. I might not have this as a part 2. This might just be like my this is our conversation about the whole thing, because we've really hit so many different topics.
Honestly, I was interested in how you were going to chop this up, because I was like, who else is he interviewing, and how is he going to segue between these other people?
I can't now. I'm just gonna premiere this, and I'm just gonna put it as a
less work for you.
Yeah, exactly. but no, I this is it's just such an interesting topic. I mean, and it's because you have very passionate customers on both sides. You have the customers who are very much like Iconic Comic is the gold standard in crowdfunding, but it isn't crowdfunding, it's crowd selling. And then but then you have people, and you have those people saying, I'm pissed off that EVS hasn't drawn the book in 2 years.
Yeah.
Whereas those hardcore customers are like, I don't give a fuck that he hasn't finished the book in 2 years, because like you said, I get almost daily live streams, 3 to 4 hours of content. You know, Cyberfrog's gonna take me 10 minutes to read, but this guy's giving me 4 hours of daily content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay. Like, he's still there. I mean, that they call him Uncle E. Like, they have a relationship with them, with Ethan, that they don't have with Tim and Mark. Like, they still have that relationship of, I want to see Tim and Mark succeed, and I love the product that they're making, but the relationship that Ethan and Skyver has is, they're like, this is our guy. And I hate that. Well, it's just different. It's just different. But like you said, there's got to be a way to bridge the gap. And I think how, like you said, like how you're doing it, how I'm doing it, how Brian Ball's doing it, how Nicholas Mueller's doing is, hey, I want to have that like relationship with you. I want to, I mean, we can do that through the live streams. We can do that through the YouTube, but do you want to see the comic? Do you want to see how it's made? We're going to do that through Patreon, and you're going to get that content every single week. And then we're going to go, and that's going to be the form of crowdfunding, because like I told a lot of people, I was like, when I do the Kickstarter, my Patreon's already paid for the print run. Like the Patreon's already paid for the print run. They already made this happen. And so, but we're just
that was their gift. They invested in you so that I didn't have to.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool, because now you're like a part of this weird movement. Like, now I'm investing in you and all your patrons by like, as a thanks. Like, I'm buying a book that they made.
That's why we can do the book at $15, because they already paid for a lot of the stuff. And how I reward the patrons is they get a Patreon exclusive cover just shipped to them automatically. No, I need to go to crowdfund. Really good. So there is that relationship saying, hey, because you made this happen, I'm going to give you a cover that's going to cost way too much money on Kickstarter, but you're just going to get it as a thank you. And I'm just going to deliver it to you straight off. Don't worry about shipping. Don't worry about paying for it, because you already did. Here you go. I mean,
if you talk up your patrons more as like a look what we did, that could be an interesting angle. That could be an interesting marketing angle.
You know what's funny though is I got told by a couple of my patrons that I say that and they don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Because I had one. Her name is Wendy, and she's like, Tyler, you keep saying we, but you're the one that's doing all the work. So like, you should like talk yourself up more. And I was like, oh, that's fair. I think there is a balance though, because I do agree that you know, it's like, hey, we're able to do the lower price point and do all this other stuff because of me and the patrons. Without them, and it's all, but you know, and I mean, that's
something really cool there.
Yeah, there is. But then there's this discussion of, I was like, oh, I feel like I should have had like 50 more backers, and it was because they were Patreon members, so there's like no need for them to back the books again. A lot of them did. They like backed the book.
Oh wow!
Because they wanted the main cover and the exclusive. But yeah, I think what we've really come down to, and now it's ended, is with crowd selling and crowdfunding, it really comes down to what's the relationship the customer is having with the creator. Is it one of emotion, or is it one of like you're paying for a service? Yeah,
like there's just an expectation of a single exchange. Like it's just a single event, two-way exchange, or is this an ongoing relational digital pseudo friendship that we're investing in?
For sure.
Which are both like really cool conflicting motivations for giving someone $20, but I mean,
I
it
think-
is what it is.
I think we did a great job on this whole hour. I think I'm just going to YouTube premiere this at some point. I think
Cool.
we did a great job of staying pretty neutral on like everything, giving everyone, like we didn't bash anyone. We just said everyone's valid. I mean, I never thought of the whole, you know, the fact that, you know, hey, the book's late, but I'm getting daily live streams. I never thought of that.
Really? That's your
No.
job? Isn't that your day job?
I hate live streams. Oh, like in marketing?
No. Like social media as products, like
I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at my job. I do, but like I also like my job, which is weird because my job is I sell books. I work for a book publisher and I sell books.
Oh, okay.
So
then you
like,
wouldn't get it then. Yeah.
yeah, my relationship with my customer is buy my book.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to buy these books. Whereas, I mean, having emotion. We talked about it at work a lot. But it's just like, if we were to build that, like, it's so hard to build a relationship off of, like, you have to building a relationship means that you have to get really personal, really deep, and all of that has to be free. Because,
Yeah.
like if you're a nobody, why am I going to pay money to hear your deep dark secrets or get the know-how? But if you're giving this for me for free and I'm invested, and now I have a connection with you, and you know, I'll say this: someone who's really good at this is Mandy Summers. I don't watch her streams ever. I went on there once, and I went on there once. And she started the stream. It took 20 minutes. It took 20 minutes to start because she was saying hi to every person in the chat.
Bam.
So I did a super chat and I went, "Hey Mandy, it's been a while. Glad to be here." And her response was, "Hey Draw and Talk, thanks for the $2. And then she read, you know, it's been a while. She goes, "Oh my gosh, it has been a while. We miss you. We're so glad you're here."
Wow.
And I was like,
was that worth $2?
I was curious because what I learned was like, one, I haven't been here, but for her, she's like, but I did get some warm fuzzies in my heart.
Yeah, that's
when
worth
she said
$2.
that. And so that was worth $2, and for her reading every person's name in the chat, because they took the time to click on her stream and then just say hi, and then she goes, "I'm gonna give you a moment of my day to say your name out loud."
Wow.
Now there's this relationship. Now we have Now you have a relationship with Mandy as a creator. Now you're invested in her, and that's a different. I mean, that's a different type of model. I mean, I really think that's. I've said this a bunch. Now I'm going to use taboo words, and now everyone's going to click off watching this video. What I really think what Comicsgate does well is building the relationships with the customers, the creator to customer, like you said.
Yeah. It was a timing. I mean, people could have complained about comic books in previous years, I guess, you know, but the media platform of a very, very off the cuff, fire and forget, human centered, lo-fi approach of having ideally live conversations about all this stuff, meeting that up with criticism about comics, it could have been anything. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and on social media that is talking about other stuff, but that's like jet fuel to be able to feel like, you know, like, I don't know how to have a conversation anymore about what I'm seeing in my local comic shops. But now I can have that conversation again. It's just now on YouTube and stuff like that, you know.
For sure.
And, like, that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, you don't have to. Like, I've often wondered, because you don't have to agree with Comicsgate to think that that's cool. Like, I've often wondered why isn't YouTube being used by people from all different, you know, cultural, political persuasions equally. And I don't, maybe that just has to do with, like, if I don't know, if you see your opinions in Hollywood, like, why do I have to go on, you know, some shitty YouTube with 8 viewers and listen to someone, give me the same thing when I could see it in much better production quality, on the mainstream.
Well,
So maybe
imagine
that's why. But
imagine like Will Smith, who just got done slapping Chris Rock. Imagine he goes on YouTube to his audience.
yeah,
And he does a live stream. Now he's got thousands of people in the comments, in the live chat, and he tries to justify it. And then maybe his chat goes, "Hey, what's up, Matt? Thanks for the $5." And then you give him maybe some like spiritual, like maybe you shouldn't have done that. Did you think about it in this way? Did you think about how this will affect Chris Rock's mental health and how he thinks of himself, that he just got embarrassed in front of millions? And then Will could go, I never thought about it like that. And then now he's having, you're having those conversations with the people who are legit invested in you. I mean, I think it's so stupid that you can watch the debates and stuff, but there's no live chat on YouTube. They have it disabled. And I'm like, pussies. Like, let us know. Like, they should go, hey, Joe, Matt for $25 says,
oh my goodness.
What do you think about this? And then Joe will go, well, I can't read, or something like that. Like, I don't know, but you're
Best
right.
debate
Like,
ever.
I think
some
that's
aspect of that has to be there.
Yes. And
It's technology is so weird. Like, this is what makes me think the robots are always going to be our slaves. I don't care what Black Mirror says. I don't care about all these dystopian sci-fi dramas have to say. Like, all that is just us entertaining ourselves. It's humans making up realities that are never going to happen. Because every time a new medium is produced, every time a new technology shows up, humans will bend and even break that technology in order to make it do human-centered things.
yes.
We built all this internet stuff just so that we can just sit around and pick our noses and yell at each other.
Well, we built this internet stuff to connect, and yet the higher powers of people are like, I don't want to connect with these people, these peasants.
Yeah,
and that's what it was.
that's
was
the
built
tension,
for.
I guess.
Whereas with comics, I mean, it is. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to bring on more mainstream pros onto my show. I'm trying to develop
Nice.
a new kind of segment. I don't know if it's going to be a live show or pre-record, but I think it'd be so cool to have Scott Snyder or something, and maybe someone can go, hey, I hated your run on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
These were my qualms, and then have them go, why? And then the person can go, this is why. And he can go, I see where you're coming from, and I'm sorry I
That'd
didn't
be
do
amazing.
it. I'm sorry I didn't do it the way you wanted. And but this was and then they go, but this is the story that I was trying. They can go maybe more into depth. Like someone was saying, oh, I hated. How come this guy never writes Robin? He sucks. He's anti-Robin, and he was just like, I don't write Robin because currently the Damian Wayne is the same age as my son, and I don't want to I'm essentially putting my son in harm's way when I write Robin.
Wow.
And I was like, that's so deep and that's so cool, and there could be a conversation just on that.
I love those are just human stories. It doesn't have that, and that's what's so cool is that's not this isn't like a CG or this or that talking. This is just human beings talking about creating stuff on a very human level that everyone can understand, and everyone should be able to see the benefit of that and not be afraid of that.
That's where the connection. Well, that's where that relationship comes in, though. With Red Rooster, I had never heard of Mitch Breitweiser. All I heard was that this guy voted for Trump and then got kicked out of the mainstream.
That's true.
And I go, and so then I go, that's effed up, and I backed his book. Because I was like, that's a very human story of politics and he's like, how am I going to feed my family? I lost my gigs, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And his wife is a colorist for a bunch of books that I like. So I build that human connection, only to find the book in Walmart. But but you're right. There are these, if we can get past all this superficial stuff, if you can actually talk to someone, have a human connection, an emotional connection, then I think we can really elevate comics in a better way. And then at that point, maybe at that point people can, like, I'm not saying that Vita Ayala, whatever her name is, I'm not saying she's a good writer. I'm not even saying that she's a good person. But maybe if you were to have a conversation and you find out, like, this is why she is the way she is, you go, oh, it doesn't mean that you're a bad writer, but maybe I can be a little nicer to you. Or, you know, there are a lot of people that hate Tom King. I have a creator friend who loves Tom King. And we were talking, and he's like, yeah, just Tom King. He inspires me, and his stories are really relatable to me. And to me, I'm like, I hate Tom King. Kill him. Not kill him, but kill him, like, out for, like, comics. Like, I don't want to see him write another book. But who am I to take away my friend's favorite writer? Who am I to say, oh, fire Tom King? And now my friend goes, well, there goes my favorite writer. I was buying comics every week with that guy.
Yeah. At the end, yeah, like what you're saying, I guess, is like we can all, like, find, like, a base human level to appreciate where each other's coming from, at least, and building up from there into what the particular projects they work on. You can take them or leave them, but you can always find their on the humanity level something that's interesting about them, and they're in comics for a reason. I'm assuming, you know, just like you and I are. So there's more going on than just the human level to relate to. You know, Daniel Warren Johnson. I don't know if you're a fan of his stuff. Oh yeah,
love his stuff.
Like, he's been doing live streams since 2020, I think. He's got a whole, 50, 60 people in the chat. That was a while ago. It's probably more now. And he just, like, works on commissions, or maybe he's working on a Wonder Woman thing, or he's doing the whole super chats, and everyone's pretty invested. He's got mods dropping links to where you can order, request a commission for $1,000, and he might get to it in a year. But because you're getting the free YouTube content, you don't mind the wait. That sort of thing. He's doing all that, and he's been doing it for 2 years. So there's people like him you could bring on, and then there's people that have been opened up to the benefit and the accessibility of it because of people like him that he works with that are in the mainstream that I'm sure are out there too.
I think as well with the conversations is, Ethan Van Sciver came on once, and I was like, this is weird. You shouldn't be on my channel. But here we are. And I remember just saying, what do you think of the success of Common America? And it was kind of like one of those hard questions. And I remember going, how come your books aren't on time? And I think, and he gave a really human response. And it made me go, like, I still don't maybe like how you do business, but I understand where you're coming from. So I'm out. Like we're done. He said, like, I did 25 years of the monthly. Now I want to be known as, like, an author who comes out with their next big thing every 3 or 4 years. And it just, just so happened to use crowdfunding. And the reason why we hate it is because we see the pages all the time. But that made me go, wow, okay, you have a different mindset than I do, and yours is completely valid, whether I agree with it or not, whether I like you as a person. And I'd love to get people, like, I'd love to maybe talk, like, to someone like Mags Visaggio, who hates me and I don't very much like her, and maybe go, always treat them with respect. What do you think about comics? What's your favorite comic? Blah, blah, blah. But then maybe go, do you think it's a little too much what you're doing? Like what's the balance between being rude to customers and like on Twitter, or there was a big thing on Twitter where some person was like, I'm not doing any CG guests, like, stop it. And they're very valid to do that, but it would be so interesting to maybe have the person go, well, have them interview the person and go, why are you Comicsgate? Or what does Comicsgate mean to you? Because if someone goes, Tyler, are you Comicsgate? I go, no, but if I don't put the hashtag, but if Comicsgate means networking with great creators, making good books, and giving a good customer experience, then yeah, I guess I am Comicsgate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be so interesting. I mean, you and I have had those conversations. So it'd be so interesting. You know, I just feel like you have these people like, oh, no more Comicsgate people, or we don't want any white people. Well, you're missing out on so many human conversations. And I think that's also where this whole crowdfunding, crowdselling is. We're missing out. You brought this up immediately when we started this. Is like with the crowdselling and crowdfunding. There's just like, it's a certain type of person at their core. It's what they believe in, and they believe in different things. So, but they have to meet somewhere in the middle. Let's find where crowdselling and crowdfunding people meet in the middle.
Yeah, and just like you can either conform your humanity to fit the model that you're working with. And I'm not thinking of any creator we know of in particular who's doing that, but you can kind of blunt force, I suppose, like, if you wanted to go extreme, like, you would think in your head, like we've probably all done at certain times, and thought, everyone who does things differently from me in this market space, including making books like one every 2 years or 3 years, is morally wrong for doing it, or everyone who's sterilizing their camp, like just doing the crowdselling side, is morally wrong. You could go that extreme, or the people who kind of rise above this stuff and do the most successful are the ones who break that technology and force it to be an extension of their humanity in some way. Like, just be Elon Musk. Like, instead of using Twitter like the algorithm wants you to act, like, instead of using social media to mimic what you think the algorithm wants you to do. And you know this very well, Tyler, with what you do. You can't chase that dragon forever, but if you can find ways to break through in a way that seems very human centric, that feels relatable, where someone like a human being can see it and say, I can relate to that. That's so me. That's not chasing the algorithm at that point. That's you actually just kind of reaching out and doing something the algorithm doesn't want you to do, and just have a nice, not necessarily monetizable, but just like a nice, superhuman moment with another person on another side of the planet.
Well, I think it is monetizable. I just think you have to.
Okay.
You just have to win. Look at some of the most positive content. Look at Mr. Beast. Do you know who that is on YouTube? Matt.
I've heard of that.
Mr. Beast is like the biggest YouTuber. He has almost like a bajillion subscribers.
Oh, jeez.
All of his videos are all what?
What does Mr. Beast do?
All of his videos are like challenges, and he gives away money to like homeless people, philanthropies. He builds houses and then he gives it away, or he'll sell you a car for $1. He'll buy all the cars, and then he just gives so much money away to help people. And all of his content is very positive. He's the biggest YouTuber. And I think positive... That
sounds like he's breaking the algorithm in a way. Like, he's just saying, it wants me to do one thing, and I'm going to make fun of that. And it in such a human way that everyone's going to love.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, everyone can do negative content. It's not that hard to get mad at something and to find a bunch of other people. But now when you've got someone... I mean, he did a Squid Game video where if you won... where he recreated Squid Game. The show. He recreated it, and he spent $4 million on that video, and it got like 200 million views in the first hour.
Okay, so
and the winner, and the winner won $500,000 of his game show. I'm not saying we're doing that in comics, but like my best live stream, I had like 50 to 70 people watching it at a time, was I did a $200 writer challenge. Said I brought a bunch of writers and I said, okay, we're gonna spin a wheel with a bunch of genres and you pitch something, and then when I had all these I had these judges, and then the winner got $200 that they could use to pay an artist to make their story, and Macho Dan won.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, Macho Dan won, and he found an artist, and they made the comic book, and it was so it was so cool. It was so cool. It was just a 2-page story. It was hilarious, and I mean, I don't have $200 to just do that all the time, but it was just a really positive stream with a bunch of fans and creators coming to watch each other compete and pitch stories for the love of the medium. I mean, I'm trying to figure out a way to do like more positive content. I'm trying to get like a type of segment, where we go, oh, like this is the segment, this is what happens every episode. But I really think
it's dramatic, but it's positive drama.
Or have you ever seen the show Hot Ones?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
I'd love to find a way to do that with comic creators. Maybe if it's like not hot wings per se, but like I was talking with like Mrs. H, and we thought, maybe it's like checkers. We play a game of checkers, but if I king you, I ask you a really terrible question. Or I don't know.
That's not bad.
Everyone plays checkers. Everyone knows how to play checkers.
There's so many free games online that you could be like sharing your screen.
Yes.
Without being like dinged. I don't think that would hit you.
Oh, would it
monetarily?
It no, it absolutely wouldn't. I'm actually I'm gonna do a test run with the whole checkers thing.
Or like Connect 4. It all depends on like how often do you want to ask a question, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So and then what's the consequence? Like, I'd love to go like, I'd love to have like a consequence question where it's like, hey Scott, you've worked with awesome artists like Jock, Greg Capullo, and Francis Manipul. Out of those 3, which one was the worst to work with? And,
I would tune into that.
Instantly. And it would make him go, oh, like I don't want to answer to that, so I will take the consequence instead of answering that question.
Yeah, like you have to skip a turn or something.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fun.
So I'm just trying to
truth or dare. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm trying to find a way that I can do this, because I mean, I'd love to get those creators talking, and and the drama then becomes, what's the question that they're going to ask, and is Scott going to answer that question? Is he going to say it's Greg? Or is he going to take the consequence? And then at that point it's funny, because he's like, oh, he took the consequence, and now there's drama because now he might be like down 10 points or something.
That's so brilliant. You have to do this.
I'm trying to figure out a way. I didn't think of like, I was thinking checkers, but now you said Connect 4. I was like, oh, I wonder if I could figure out a way to do like board games or something. I just have to figure out how the other person can interact with it as well.
I mean, it's always easy to play like a 1-player online game, but the 2 players, that's a trick.
For sure. Mm. Well, hey, we've been talking for an hour and a half. I hope I'm just gonna pretend that we recorded this specifically for a YouTube premiere. So there's gonna be people in the chat. So everyone in the chat, thank you guys for watching. Even though I was gonna do this, I was gonna split this, and it just got too good of a conversation. Matt, where can people find you, and when's the next time we're gonna see Kyrie out there?
You can find me. I'm not doing YouTube really, unless I'm like hanging out with a buddy like Tyler. But you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/CurieComic. You can watch me. I'm putting out about my pace so far this year has been 5 pages a month. 2 of those are public. 3 of them are for Patreon. Those are exclusives. And if I keep that pace up, I should be able to launch at the beginning of 2023 with a 150-ish page book. I'm really deep into it now. I'm like 80 pages or something in. So it's going to be a fantastic book, but I don't want to launch it for the reasons you just heard until it's mostly done. So, but you can hang out with me until then on Patreon.
No, it's awesome. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for I like messaged you. I was like, hey, we're just gonna talk for 15 minutes, and here we are. It's like an hour and a half.
I was pumping I think I was pumping the brakes a couple times just to see, and you just kept on driving through. So
we just kept coming up with like new like that's one thing you don't get with like a 15-minute YouTube video is you don't get the exploration of the ideas. And I think we go, you know, I countered your point, but then you countered my point, but then that made me go think of something else, and we were able just to explore. And I think, you know, even if there's no clear answer of what we think is better, crowd selling or crowdfunding, I hope that the chat and viewers just go, they're a lot more, it's a lot more nuanced than just getting a book on time and not getting a book on time.
Yeah. There's many kinds of products people are making at once, including what you and I are doing right now. We're both making the product of this public conversation. So everyone's gonna value each of those products, you know, in a different tiering structure, I guess.
For sure. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm just gonna hit some music.
All right, now that everything is said and done, and I have to thank Matt for being an awesome, you know, person to talk with. These are my thoughts on all of this. And please mind my cold. I believe that crowdfunding is very important in the indie comic creator space. The majority of creators, especially writers, are unable to bring in the capital by themselves to make their comics. This is why crowdfunding is so important to comics. Without crowdfunding, many projects would not come to life. I do believe, however, that there is an evolution happening where crowd selling is happening in crowdfunded spaces. This is okay to me as well, because in fact, I'm a creator who partakes in what they call crowd selling. However, I don't believe that it's right or fair for customers to put the same expectations on creators based off of what other creators do. Every creator is at their own level and can only do so much. It's not fair to expect one creator to have their book 100% completed just because another creator had their book 100% completed. If they can only muster up 5 pages and a cover to crowdfund their book, that is okay. Another example is like a book like Common America. Common America is a $10 hardback comic. To expect that from all creators is foolish and unfair. My comic is 200 pages and $15. Once again, it would be foolish to expect all creators to do that many pages at that price. As well, not all creators can afford cool trinkets, boxes, tchotchkes, or premium fulfillment. There is nothing wrong with going with a floppy comic in a bag and board and shipped out in a Gemini mailer. Setting expectations like these on other creators is very damaging. Many hope to one day have a crowd selling model, but until then, we need to be okay with the crowdfunding model to help everyone. What should be expected, though, from creators all across the board is good customer service, respect, and accountability. As I've stated in my previous videos, when bigger creators mess up, they only hurt the smaller creators below. They should be held accountable. It should be okay for their readers and their customers and all the other people in the space to hold them accountable. I believe creators should set reasonable to accurate delivery dates on their campaigns and do their absolute best to get them their book. Now, after my conversation with Matt, I understand now that there are people who are backing creators not for the books, but for the movement and for the monetary support of the creator. While this is fine, I believe that customers need to do better jobs at picking who they are going to support. If they complain about how late a creator is, but continue to back them each time, then you are just enabling them. Backers need to do their homework on creators to know if they are to be trusted with their money. And creators, be respectful to your customers' money. They have trusted you and believe in you enough to hand over their hard-earned dollar in exchange for a product that they are interested in. Treat them right. I love comics. I love the indie scene. Let's continue to be good examples. Let's continue to grow, and let's keep having a silly goose time. Thank you to my Patrons who make it possible for me to make these videos in my own comics and manga. Make sure to check out my channel and watch the weekly updates video, which is a new segment where I let you know what videos and live streams we have planned for that week and the progress on all my comics and projects. You guys have a great week. I'm spending the rest of this weekend fulfilling the Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I'm going to be super busy packaging books, but we have a new campaign that's coming out in May. I'm super excited to share. You guys have a great day. Peace.